Welcome to A Region of Solutions, the ESCAP podcast where we share practical stories and ideas shaping a more inclusive and sustainable Asia and the Pacific.
I'm Kavita Sukanandan.
In today's episode, we turn our attention to the cross-border trade sector, a space that plays a vital role in regional connectivity and economic growth, but where women's participation has often been limited. Encouragingly, change is underway. ESCAP has been working to empower women entrepreneurs across the region, including through digital skills training and e-commerce. More recently, it has partnered with the Land Ports Authority of India, or LPAI, to promote greater participation of women in border trade. LPAI's pioneering gender toolkit is helping ensure that women are not only present in the workforce at land ports but also supported with safe facilities, gender-sensitive policies, and new opportunities, from shuttle drivers to trade logistics officers. To discuss these developments, we are joined by Ms. Mikiko Tanaka, Head of ESCAP's South and Southwest Asia Office, and Dr. Raikar Kumar, Member Finance of the Land Ports Authority of India. Together, we'll explore how targeted initiatives like the Gender Toolkit can inspire similar efforts across the region, creating safer, fairer, and more inclusive cross-border trade. So welcome, Mikiko and Dr. Rekha. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, Mikiko, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to the UN?
I'm working for ESCAP now in this very interesting South and Southwest Asia sub-region in the Subregional office in New Delhi. I've been here for just over 3 years now and really learning about sub-regional dynamics, which is very complex. But before, I've been working with the UN for over 25, 26 years. So I've worked with UNDP in many countries, and the last posting was as the UN resident coordinator in Guyana. I've been in the private sector, financial sector, and then I've also worked in NGOs. And I think what really connects the dot there is I was really interested in international development, the issues of inequalities in the world.
It's very interesting to hear you. Such diverse background, Mikiko. And Dr. Rekha, how about you? How did you come about to work for the Land Ports Authority?
I am from a typical middle class family which had three daughters. I'm the eldest. So, from the beginning, from the childhood, I have seen the struggle that my mother or all the other women around me are doing to ensure a dignified life. And I think that was one of the most motivating factor for me, that I decided that I should at least do something in life which can bring some kind of a empowerment to myself, and using that, if I can help other women around me. That was my goal from 10th standard onwards. The last 30 years, I am part of the government of India, and being a woman bureaucrat, have been able to work in varied ministries. In all those 30 years, one common thing that has always remained with me is to ensure that wherever I go, whichever department, whatever capacity I am working, I should be able to help the women around me. So gender mainstreaming has been the beacon, I would say, the light that I have been carrying wherever I have gone. I'm very happy to share that this has helped me in ensuring institutional reforms, policy research, gender mainstreaming and sensitization, diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as empowering women in whatever capacity they are through programs and processes.
It's also a very fascinating journey and inspiration, Dr. Rekha. Let's dive deep into our discussion today. Why is it so important to promote women's participation in the cross-border trade sector? What are the main barriers they face?
Now I'll contextualize it in South Asia. So SDG 5 is gender equality goal. It is far behind, many challenges, social norms that traditionally have been disadvantageous for women in many countries in South Asia. It's still very strong, these social norms that kind of drag women down into a very specific roles of supporting the family or the man or whatever that may be. And one particular indicator that we cite in South Asia is the labor force participation, there's women's economic empowerment, so to speak. And that is really lagging. Economic empowerment is really a very important driver for women to be able to actually play a role beyond the traditional. It gives them confidence, it's dignity, it gives them some freedom, it gives them voice, bargaining power, so to speak, in the house, outside.
The female labor force participation has consistently been very low, especially this part of South Asia, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, and Myanmar. We more or less inherit this. One common feature along in all the countries is that it's completely, fully, wholly male dominated societies. So let's accept the fact that the history and the ethics promote male dominance. In my country, the male participation in the labor force is quite high. It's around 77.2%, while as the female participation is less. It's not more than 30%, even after a lot of efforts by governments and NGOs and all the multilateral agencies in this regard. If we see the complete value chain in trade and logistics, starting with the design of the automobiles or the trains or any multimodal vehicle that we use, where are women? The designs are made by male. The driving schools are full of males. Women are very rarely taking driving training for the commercial lorries or vehicles or bigger trains, which are exclusively used for cargo movement or containers. In any of the colleges or schools, trade and logistics is not a career option for women or girls. If we move slightly ahead, then women percentage in terms of the CHA agents, insurance agents, exporters, importers, the assistant commissioners and superintendents of customs, immigration who are doing the checks for the passengers who are coming through the land ports, and ahead you will find almost a big vacuum. The only area recently where most of the women are hired are the e-commerce areas, where in terms of packaging and delivery, quite a few e-commerce entities have taken a lead. So I think if we see the complete value chain from the end to end, then there is a huge scope for involving women in all these positions. But I would definitely like to highlight some of the areas wherein a lot can be done. First, the mentality is that women should maintain house and take care of welfare of the family. So the very fact that they can contribute substantially as a part of the workforce and to the society and to the nation and to the subcontinent, this needs to be accepted fully and wholeheartedly. Secondly, once you educate a girl, then ensure that she gets to work, she is financially independent, and her work in the house and her work in the office is made comfortable so that she can continue both the roles with equal capacity, 100% dedication, is requires a huge change in approach of the society and people around us. And in LPI, we are trying to do that. There are more than 89 entry and exit points. And the mandate of Land Port Authority is to cover all these entry and exit points on this border and make it a state-of-the-art facility, which is safe, secure, much faster, digitally equipped, and is able to promote trade facilitation.
What I also hear is that maybe there is still a myth that persists about the harsh working conditions in borders and ports. Is this something you'd like to dispel? Has working conditions changed in ports, for example, under the LPAI?
100%. In fact, General Meath, even till the time I joined Land Port Authority, I was also under the impression that borders are a barren piece of land away from the mainland, devoid of any infrastructure, devoid of any schools, hospitals, or any general environment that you require congenial for work. But after joining Land Port Authority of India, we did this exercise to find out how gender friendly are our workplaces to begin with. We asked them to do a complete research by visiting all our land ports, which are on different borders. Every border is different. Every culture across the border is different. And hence, after doing this research, we realized that yes, if we can devise a scale that tells me where do I stand in terms of having gender mainstreaming and gender sensitization as a fulcrum. That is where this audit tool was developed. We considered more than 71 attributes of a particular place in terms of institutional, in terms of infra, in terms of empowerment of women, in terms of safety, security, and comfort for a woman to work there. And then this scale was devised, and then we actually took out the score of all our land ports based on this scale. I'm very proud to say that this particular development of audit tool and then implementing it over a period of 1.5 years has made a huge change into the infrastructure that we had. Just for the benefit of the listeners, I would like to tell you that this includes everything, starting with proper, clean, open bathrooms, which has got sanitary pad vending machines. It should have a baby diaper changing tables. It should have full lights, and it should be available not only in the passenger side, but it should be available in the cargo side also. In addition to that, there should be 100% lighting in the area so that women will feel comfortable moving across that region. There should be a CCTV surveillance all throughout. There has to be mobile charging stations because many women have different language when they cross the border, and that's why they should be always connected with their families, and that's why mobile charging stations was must. Panic buttons. If there is any situation wherein somebody feels unsafe, they should be able to get the help immediately. There has to be a shuttle service for the women to come and go back from the office because that is one of the major hindrance in this part of country. There has to be a proper HR policy and SOP for them. Most important was the training and capacity building aspect. We had more than 70 such sessions over the last 1 year covering the gender sensitivity, gender mainstreaming, say no to violence aspect, mental health, and anti-human trafficking. So the training and capacity building of each stakeholder and the people who are within the vicinity of about 25 to 30 kilometers. It's been a wonderful experience, and I'm very happy to share that most of my land ports have now reached in the point 0.8 in the scale.
All these initiatives sound very holistic. You have taken into consideration everything from policies to infrastructure to safety. Has there been any personal stories that have touched you from all these initiatives?
Yes, of course, there are quite a few such incidences. There was this Annapurna Rajkumar who drove a big lorry which was having cotton from Chennai. She started and she crossed the border to the Benapole side, that is Bangladesh side, and why again she went back. We ensured that she is felicitated and her employer is given the feedback that he should encourage more women to travel alone on the roads and taking this big responsibility and to prove to the world that women are equal or better match to men. The same thing happened in Jogbani on Nepal border, and Muslim woman, Rubia Begum, she also carried this kind of a huge truck traveling for 3 to 4 days on the roads and ensuring that it passes through the Nepal border. So she was also felicitated and we got in touch with her employer. There are many in my workforce because we have ensured that at least 30% of the women should be part of the workforce. So those women who are able to join my land ports, they have their own stories to tell. And all of them are very grateful that they have got a chance to have a more dignified and respectful life.
So, how has ESCAP been working with LPAI and other partners to share and adapt this experience with neighboring countries?
ESCAP has been working with LPA now for about 3 years. And how we started actually was around how can we help the cross-border trade in this eastern part of South Asia. And we started with the India-Bangladesh border. We visited a few land border crossings. And we noticed a lot of barriers. There was trade going on, but not very necessarily smooth or predictable. We also found that despite whatever agreements or policies are in place, every place is different and the barriers are different. We found one port at the border of Meghalaya state in India. And here, the state of Meghalaya was really keen to advance trade as part of their economic policy because they are landlocked. So we had those willing partners. And then also Meghalaya is a unique state in that actually the ethnic communities there, they follow a matrilineal traditions. And you do see women in economic areas. And actually, at that land port, the matron was really, really keen to help women from other countries also being able to trade. So that was kind of the opportunity we found. Our role really was to convene multi stakeholder meetings that would involve central government officials that relate to trade, transport, customs. We brought in some private sector, so from the locality, because local communities are not necessarily engaged or they're not benefiting often as much as those that have bigger businesses from outside that particular region. We invited think tanks and development partners that were also working in this area, and we made sure that we invite women too, and we had to really lobby for this. And then we expanded to other border points between Bhutan and India in the north, also Nepal and India, and bringing in women entrepreneurs or people who are aspiring to trade. We invited Dr. Rekha both to Bhutan and to Nepal, and just hearing her what's happening in India through the land ports, it's inspiring. So, I mean, the more women can at least see that it's possible. And then, of course, how do you build up your business and how do you bring it to the next level of trade? And it does take some time, but we've been able to have a really wonderful dynamic going with LPAI.
Overall, it has been learning from each other's mistakes, learning from each other's lessons, and joining hands together. The highlight has been that many people joined us in this journey whom we had not anticipated earlier, but who are a driving force in their communities, in their sector. For example, the border huts. Now, quite a few border huts, the main beneficiaries are women across the borders. So I think we need to look at the landscape in its totality. Not only the formal trade, even the informal trade, the headload trade also helps a huge amount to a woman staying across the borders and to their families and have dignified and better opportunities for education, health for their families. So I think it is a win-win situation, and I expect that more and more training and capacity building and best practices sharing we can do with the help of UN ESCAP with the other women around our country and take this whole thing further. The toolkit that I mentioned about is so unique that any organization can implement that toolkit with slight modifications here and there. And I'm sure they also will be able to have some kind of a substantive, scalable, and measurable thing for gender, because otherwise it is considered a very abstract concept. But if we use this tool, if we use this scale, then we really know where we are, where we have to reach, and how we can sustain that thing by continuously working on it.
Thank you both for sharing these incredible stories and work. Before we wrap up, could you just share what are some of the next steps that you envisage as part of this?
The next step is to involve the surrounding environment. I feel very sad when I look at the surroundings of my land ports in many places. The schools are in very dilapidated conditions. Quite a few of the girl children are not able to sustain their education beyond fifth standard or sixth standard onwards. Quite a few of them have done post graduation, but they do not have jobs. They are sitting home, actually not utilizing their talents or capability to work, and are not being able to become part of any workforce. That is one area which really needs immediate attention. We are working with women entrepreneurs platform of Niti Aayog, and we are trying to develop a short-term skill development tool to enhance the ability of the women in the surrounding area so that they are going to get a livelihood and more dignity than what they have right now. Another area, especially my land port in Sutarkandi, which is in Assam on Bangladesh border, it is extreme poverty. I mean, even one time meal is not assured for the people who stay there. And that is why encouraging their own inherent handloom skills or other things that they know and to get them market for that will also be a good idea. We conducted one such mela inside the land port and there was a huge response. Another area which we felt, because climate change is impacting women in a large extent, so making the area green, at least having 10 acres of each land port or at least 25% of each land port completely green is the target that is given. Because that will also ensure a lesser amount of carbon dioxide, much lesser carbon credits, better environment. third area which we felt that is very essential, and of late we have given more stress on it, it is on human trafficking. We have taken up with all the three border guarding forces and ensured that they also make the anti-human trafficking training a mandatory part of their training module.
Land borders, land ports, they are quite removed from the capital. So when you think about the leave no one behind part of the SDGs, what happens at these very remote areas is not really on a day-to-day radar screen in the capitals. And because it's at the international border, there's a limit to what local authorities can actually do with the other side. So there's a double layer of left behindness. You have that remoteness geographically and the jurisdictional issues, and then you have the gender dimension. So really to break that through, we have to continue supporting them.
I think we should look at it that borders also meet. So consider them as not a dividing line, but as a moving line, so that you can think more positively towards amalgamation of trade, culture, ethnicity, everything, irrespective of which country and which part of the world that you belong to. I think that is the most important spirit.
Our listeners will have a lot to unpack and take home. I certainly have learned a lot. On that note, that's all for today's episode. A big thank you to both our guests, Mikiko and Dr. Rekha, for sharing their experiences with us. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and be part of the solution for our region.